If you're anything like me, you probably agree that there's nothing as annoying as getting sick. It not only makes you feel crappy, but it also throws off your plans entirely. Maybe you were trying to hit a new record at the gym, or you had a cool event planned at the weekend. If you're sick, you can forget it. As a teenager and during my early 20s, I got sick a lot. During the cold months of the year, my nose was either running or completely congested. I tried many different diets and supplements and hoped that one of them must be so healthy that I simply couldn't get sick anymore. And it helped a little bit. I went from about 4 colds a year, which by the way is the average in adults, to 1 or 2 colds. But I wasn't really happy with the results. There had to be a better way. So my quest continued until last summer, when I finally found something that has worked for me since then. So let me share my secret with you today, which of course is purely based on science. So about 1 year ago I was reading a lot about the health benefits of probiotics, and there was one result that constantly showed up. It was that probiotics protect you from pathogens, so bacteria, viruses or fungi that can make you sick. Many studies show how probiotic bacteria inhibit pathogens in the gut like Candida albicans or Salmonella, and the mechanism is pretty well understood here, as often the probiotic bacteria outcompete the bad ones or inhibit their growth directly. This study here for instance found that when mice were fed with a probiotic bifidobacterium, it increased their survival rate after Salmonella infections by a magnitude of 10. The mechanism seems to be straightforward here, as everything is happening in the gut. But we don't get a cold in our gut, so why would probiotics or fermented food help here? Still, we find many studies like this one, where adults consumed the probiotic bacterium Lactobacillus reuteri for 80 days, and their frequency of falling sick dropped by 60% compared to the placebo. And the differences were even more striking in shift workers. It has also been shown that probiotics may help to prevent or reduce symptoms of the cold or the flu. This study found that Lactobacillus acidophilus supplementation in children reduced fever incidences by 53% and coughing incidences by 41%. And both were even further reduced when Lactobacillus acidophilus was combined with Bifidobacterium animalis. Let's look at one more study before we talk about the actual mechanism behind it. So in 2 individual experiments, elderly volunteers were divided into 2 groups and instructed to consume either L. bulgaricus fermented milk or to consume plain milk. The researchers found that the risk of catching a common cold was about 2.6 times lower in the yogurt group compared to the control group. I could go on and on with more studies, but if you're still not convinced, you can check out the link in the description that includes all studies I can find about this topic. But for now, let's move on and answer the question why probiotics might prevent us from getting sick. The actual mechanism behind this is still a little bit of speculative nature, but what I found as a common theme in all papers that looked at it was that probiotics enhance the activity of natural killer cells. The immune system is extremely complex, and one of my professors once said, "The one who thinks that he understands the immune system doesn't understand the immune system." Okay, having said this, let's talk about why natural killer cells might be the perfect cells to prevent you from getting a cold. Besides the fact that they have probably the coolest name of all immune cells, they are something like the special force when it comes down to viral infections. Common colds are usually caused by viral infections and not by bacteria, which is the reason why antibiotics won't do anything if you're sick. So our immune system is usually really slow to respond to viral infections, which is the reason why you need 7 to 10 days to fight off a cold. Natural killer cells are an exception here. They constantly screen the body for viral infected cells or for cells that are more susceptible to virus infections and kill those. On top of this, natural killer cells provide a rapid response to viral infections. So normally our immune cells require activation via the major histocompatibility complex to kill virus-infected cells. But natural killer cells can also find and recognize virus-infected cells in the absence of this complex. This will become especially important when we consider that viruses are masters of hiding. There are of course other reasons why probiotics or fermented food can keep you from getting sick. But after reading this as a future immunologist, I simply fell in love with the natural killer cell hypothesis. So for me personally, I'm pretty convinced that it works. For 1 year now, consuming something fermented every day has kept me healthy. And I only got a cold once during my vacation in Iceland when I stopped consuming fermented food. Even though I have to admit that we were also out in the cold for hours doing a whale watching tour. So who knows if probiotics really would have prevented a cold there. But sometimes the placebo effect is also pretty powerful, right? Anyways, since restarting consuming either a yogurt, some fermented vegetables like my self-made sriracha here, or some homemade kefir, I really haven't gotten any cold, and I really believe that this has kept me healthy even though when everyone around me was sick. So I strongly suggest you just try it out, generate some data, and post it in the comments if this has worked for you before. And also if it hasn't worked, so we can figure out what's the reason. Thank you for watching, consider subscribing, and see you next time.